Hello and welcome to this brief webinar from ICT. The webinar will see one of our course directors spend a short time looking at some of the fundamentals that drive and shape conduct and conduct risk within firms today, and will touch on elements that should be considered in practicing good conduct. I'll hand over now to Rod Kettle to talk you through it.
So, first we will look at what is conduct. Is there a single definition that we can come up with? Is it more than just treating customers fairly? Or are we more concerned about behaviours? Are we looking backwards or are we looking forward? So is there a strategic element to conduct? These are the sorts of things we need to think about. What we also think about is, has there been any regulatory prescription? Have the regulators actually said, this is what we understand by conduct and this is what you must do? Simple answer to that question is no. If you look at the UK's Financial Conduct Authority, they decline to give a definition of conduct. But what they say is, it is for firms to decide. And firms need to decide what good conduct looks like for them based on their markets, based on their consumers, based on factors that are exclusive to individual firms, because no two firms are alike in terms of the numbers of clients or the range of products that they offer, or in terms of the size of their book. So firms need to have the ability to make decisions to say, this is what conduct looks like for us. The other considerations we need to include in definitions include things like, what is a market? Who are our stakeholders? What are our consumers? What is our jurisdiction? What is the current regulatory focus? Because regulatory focus changes over time. And we have seen in the UK that the regulatory focus over the past 10 years has moved away from treating customers fairly through to re-establishing financial control, through to balancing the markets out again with regard to previous errors that have taken place. And looking at it at the time of recording of this webinar, we're looking at the drive for increased competition and better innovation within the financial services industry. We also look at the link between conduct and regulatory evolution, where the regulatory landscape in its infancy or in its earlier days was all about rules, but as that changed over time towards principles, and then the introduction of this new phrase called outcomes. What do outcomes really mean? So conduct has a link between it and evolution of regulation in the way that regulations and rules and principles and outcomes have changed over time. And also, what about the drivers of the development of the conduct agenda? Is it purely about mis-selling? Or is it influenced and driven by failures of businesses and companies? Or is it the financial crisis which has also provided some stimulus for its growth and development as a hot topic? So these are things that we really need to explore before we actually can sit down and say, this is what conduct really means.
That brings us to the end of the webinar. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget you can find more information regarding further conduct risk training as well as other courses offered by ICT at our website www.int-comp.com.